Ollie from Comics Beat.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Um, and then my first question would be, was this always your intended conclusion of Solar Opposites?
Hell no. We intended to make solar opposites for so long that we got really bad at it and that everybody hated it. And it wasn't funny anymore and it didn't even make a lick of sense. And instead, when we found out this was going to be the last season, we were like, okay, last seasons of a comedy kind of suck. Nobody's favorite season is the very last season of a show, right? So we didn't want that to happen. We wanted to have culminations to all these kind of long stories, but also opening doors to new stories. And we wanted it to be weird and funny and interesting and gross and crazy, like every other season of Solar Opposites. So, we tried to give some, and finales are important to me. I think that people deserve to feel like they've experienced something coming to an end and a conclusion, and the characters have changed and they've grown, and so you get all of that, but you also just get a season that at the same time had to be funny and standalone as well.
Josh, you have anything to add?
No, no. I think that it's been a joy to make this show, a true dream and a joy. And I think that that was the most important thing for us is to make sure that the love we have for making the show came across in the stories and the episodes.
Awesome. And then, do you guys think it's fair to say that Solar Opposites has gotten more queer over the course of the series? And if yes, what shows that evolution? And I guess I kind of mean queer, not just queer identity, but queer as a whole
Yeah.
concept.
You
Yeah.
know,
I
I think
mean,
it has, but not like strategically. It's kind of just because the characters started as not knowing the TV wasn't real and ended picking up more habits of humanity. And as they became more emotional and honest and human, their queerness just kind of was part of that came forward because it was just them being in love, Sorry, Josh, I cut you off.
no, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, they're two aliens that don't have any sexy parts, right? So, or they have their own sexy parts. And
Yeah.
I
They
think
got the
that for
wolves.
us, the mounds, no, I think for
Yeah.
us, it was just like,
Schlorkals.
I don't know, they're in love with each other. And they realize that later, and we don't need to comment on it. Let's just do stories about how they're stupid husbands and
Yeah.
they're an old married couple, and they get to go on a honeymoon, and they don't realize that it's not about the fact that it's two dudes going on honeymoon. It's just that they get to find out, oh my God, people on honeymoons get away with anything,
But
right? Like,
she's right too that like we have a thruple in the wall, in the final season, and I think that like Solar has always existed to challenge what the rules are on all the shows we grew up on, right? And like it used to be if somebody wasn't straight in a show, that had to be what the show was about, right? Like it had to be basically like the headline of the show, or it had to be like a big important part of it. And for us, like queerness and gender and the aliens being, basically immigrants and all this stuff, they're still just people and they're still funny and they still make mistakes and they're a family and, they're crass little consumer fuck bags and they're just fun to hang out with. So like, I think the fun thing for us is that like the freedom of letting them be who they are and have this world be an honest version of the world, like how the world we live in. Like, I feel like the show maybe became more queer in general, but it kind of just to match the real world in general more and more and be less of a false world like that you got on a TV show as it was going.
That's true. More and more people are identifying as queer. I loved it. So I just want to say, like, I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
oh, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, especially because so many shows are pulling away from it and you just kept going and it's nice to see
Oh,
the
we
We
are
content.
don't pull
diving
away from
in.
everything, from anything. If we like it, we hammer it as hard as we can.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then you have been allowed to push the limits and solar opposites, I think, in multiple ways. So I was kind of curious if you received any censor notes for any reason. And if there was a particular one of those moments you really wanted to see on screen.
Never a censor note, but we do get like we had an episode this year which was like just chaotic. It was supposed to feel like an old VHS from the 90s that had been re-recorded over 100 times. And at first, some of our executives were like, "This is ridiculous. We don't understand this. Like it's a mess." And I remember we got the same note at the beginning of the first interdimensional cable episode of Rick and Morty, and that the same thing happened where as the episode was coming in and it was edited and you heard the voices in and you were seeing it, those same executives were like, "Oh, actually the chaos is the fun," and it's hard to like look at an outline and then know what it's going to be at the end. You know what I mean? Like we get a lot of faith and trust from our partners at Hulu on this, and it lets us do all this crazy stuff that we've done the entire time. If anything, we've kind of self-censored a little bit. Like first season, there was a sex scene that was so graphic between Sherry and Tim in the wall that I was like, guys, I'm not even paying attention anymore. This is wild. Let's just silhouette them. And then there was another scene where Sherry was going to give birth in the Pez dispenser. And I was like, let's make it like you could show this to a student and they would learn what birth really looks at. I want to see like dilation happening. I want to see full butthole. And then ultimately we were like, you know what? Maybe just only a little more graphic. That maybe we don't have.
We have every once in a while, remembering that Disney is a big company that owns a lot of different pieces of IP, have gotten a couple notes about pulling back on the Star Wars references.
We
There
had
have been
one
a couple
t-shirt
times.
Terry wore that I got a call. I got emails from lawyers and then a call from lawyers being like, listen,
Like a
we got to
five
get this
o'clock
off.
on a Friday night call.
Like you got to not put this t-shirt on Terry. You're going to get pictures. A couple times we've decided to not go against Disney, the corporation, but it always just results in another more ridiculous t-shirt that they
yeah, it
all
made
like
us find
anyway.
something else funny.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite t-shirt? Both of you?
I 100% do. And it was one of the first ones. And it was the thing that made me realize, because, I worked on American Dad too. And everyone would always groan when we had to do the headlines. And then, of course, they were the most fun thing to do. Dick Wolf, to me, is my still all-time favorite, simplest t-shirt.
Mine changes a little bit, but I really like the ones that feel like a really bad t-shirt that you would find at like an airport or Venice Beach. And the one that just, God, I hated so much was the one Terry wore that said straight out of anime, which I thought sucked so bad. It made me laugh. I also like the one that says baby on board, and there's an image of a baby on a skateboard, like
Yeah.
doing a kickflip. I think that one's pretty funny.
That's awesome. That's all the time I have. I love the
Thank
answers.
you so much.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Ollie. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.